Long before special effects and CGI, filmmakers created unforgettable moments that explored the deepest questions of human existence. In this video, we will share with you 7 philosophically striking scenes from the masterpieces of early American cinema. Stay with me until the end, because each scene I'm about to show you is a masterclass in philosophical storytelling, where characters confront ultimate questions about morality, meaning, and what it means to be human. We would like to give a spoiler alert because we are going to talk about the last scenes of some movies. Our first philosophical masterpiece comes from On the Waterfront, 1954.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
In the famous taxi scene between brothers Terry and Charlie Malloy. Terry, played by Marlon Brando, confronts his older brother about pushing him to throw a boxing match years earlier, ruining his career. I could have had class. I could have been a contender, Terry says with heartbreaking regret. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. In this intimate scene, confined to the backseat of a taxi, we witness a man coming to terms with how a single choice altered the course of his life. The moment embodies philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of bad faith, how we can deceive ourselves about our own freedom and responsibility. What makes this scene so powerful is Brando's vulnerable performance as a man finally acknowledging the truth, that he allowed others to make his choices for him, and in doing so, betrayed himself. The scene asks us, how do we reconcile with missed opportunities in life? Who bears responsibility when we fail to become what we might have been? And is it ever too late to reclaim our authentic path? From personal regret, we move to a courtroom drama that pits scientific progress against religious tradition in Inherit the Wind from 1960.
Is it possible that something is holy to the celebrated agnostic?
Yes, the individual human mind.
The philosophical climax comes during defense attorney Henry Drummond's impassioned plea for the freedom of thought. Standing in a sweltering courtroom in the American South, Drummond, played masterfully by Spencer Tracy, delivers what might be cinema's most powerful defense of intellectual liberty. The right to think is the beginning of freedom, Drummond declares, his voice rising as sweat pours down his face. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral, and the advance of man's knowledge is more of a miracle than any sticks turned to snakes or the parting of waters. This scene dramatizes a philosophical conflict that still rages today, the tension between tradition and progress, between faith and science, between collective certainty and individual doubt. What makes this moment so powerful is that Drummond isn't arguing against religion itself. He's fighting for the right to question, to doubt, to pursue truth wherever it leads. His argument embodies philosopher John Stuart Mill's defense of free expression in On Liberty. The scene forces us to ask, who should determine what ideas we're allowed to explore? And can any society truly progress if it silences those who challenge its fundamental beliefs? Our third scene takes us to post-war Vienna for what might be the most chilling philosophical dialogue ever filmed. In The Third Man, 1949,
Man, would you really feel any pity if one of those dots stopped moving forever?
American writer Holly Martins finally confronts his old friend Harry Lime, who he's just discovered is alive and running a deadly racket selling diluted penicillin to children's hospitals. Their confrontation happens atop Vienna's giant Ferris wheel. As they reach the highest point, Harry Lime, played with sinister charm by Orson Welles, gestures to the people below, now tiny dots from their vantage point. "Look down there," Lime says with a smile. "Would you really feel any pity if one of those dots stopped moving forever? If I offered you 20,000 pounds for every dot that stopped, would you really, old man, tell me to keep my money? Or would you calculate how many dots you could afford to spare?" In just a few sentences, Lime perfectly articulates moral relativism taken to its extreme conclusion. From high enough, human lives become mere statistics, easily sacrificed for personal gain. What makes this scene so philosophically rich is that Lime isn't a cartoon villain. He's charming, intelligent, and makes his case with disturbing logic. His position echoes Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch who stands beyond good and evil, creating his own moral code. The scene asks us, is morality merely a perspective determined by where we stand? And what happens when we start seeing human beings as abstractions rather than individuals? From Vienna, we travel to a claustrophobic jury room in New York City for our fourth philosophical masterpiece. In 12 Angry Men, 1957,
we're talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide it in 5 minutes, supposing we're wrong.
12 jurors must decide the fate of a young man accused of murder. As they prepare for what they assume will be a quick guilty verdict, juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda, stands alone and casts the only not guilty vote. What follows is one of cinema's purest expressions of moral courage. It's not easy to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first, juror number 8 says quietly. We owe him a deliberation. Throughout the tense scene, the camera angles shift subtly, the framing gets tighter, and we feel the pressure mounting as one man stands against the crowd. Juror number 8 doesn't claim to know the truth. He simply isn't satisfied with the hasty judgment of his peers. This scene brilliantly illustrates philosopher Soren Kierkegaard's concept of subjective truth. The idea that authentic truth is found not in mob consensus, but in the individual's sincere commitment to questioning and understanding. The power of this moment comes from its elegant simplicity. One person willing to say, I doubt, in a room full of certainty. It asks us, which requires more courage? To go along with the crowd or to stand alone? And what is our responsibility when another person's life or freedom hangs in the balance? Our fifth scene takes us back to the silent film era with F.W. Murnau's Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, 1927. The film follows a man who, tempted by a seductive woman from the city, plans to drown his wife during a boat trip, but at the crucial moment he cannot go through with it. Later, in a remarkable streetcar scene, the couple begins a process of reconciliation and redemption. What makes this scene so philosophically rich is its wordless exploration of moral choice, regret, and the possibility of redemption. Without a single line of dialogue, Murnau shows us a man confronting the darkest potential within himself and choosing a different path. The scene embodies existentialist philosophy decades before it became mainstream. The idea that we define ourselves through our choices, that we can transcend our darkest impulses, and that authentic connection with another person can be our salvation. As the couple rides through the city, surrounded by the chaos of modern life, we witness something profound. Two humans creating meaning together in a world that often seems meaningless. The scene asks, can we truly leave our darkest impulses behind? And can love really redeem us after we've contemplated terrible acts? Our sixth philosophical moment comes from Black Narcissus, a 1907 film that culminates in one of cinema's most psychologically intense scenes. Imagine this. Sister Ruth, an English nun stationed at a remote convent in the Himalayas, ascends a treacherous bell tower. The wind howls around her as she climbs higher, her red dress, which she's changed into after abandoning her nun's habit, billowing dramatically against the backdrop of the mountains. This isn't just any climb, it's the physical manifestation of her psychological descent. Throughout the film, Sister Ruth has been battling repressed desires and jealousy, particularly over Mr. Dean, the local British agent who has caught the attention of the Mother Superior. As she reaches the top, her face transforms. The brilliant cinematography shows her applying forbidden red lipstick, the color intensifying unnaturally against her increasingly pale skin. Her eyes grow wild with madness. What makes this scene so philosophically powerful? It represents the moment when Western rationalism, discipline, and religious devotion completely unravel in the face of primal human desires. The Himalayas themselves become a character in this scene, an ancient mystical East that refuses to be tamed by Western order. Sister Ruth's breakdown illustrates what philosopher Carl Jung called the shadow, those repressed parts of ourselves that, when denied, return with destructive force. The bell tower scene asks, can we ever truly suppress our nature, or will our deepest desires always find a way to express themselves, sometimes with violent consequences? Our final philosophical scene comes from what many consider the greatest film ever made, Citizen Kane, 1941. After following the rise and fall of newspaper tycoon Charles Foster Kane throughout the film, we finally discover the meaning of his mysterious last word, Rosebud. In the film's closing moments, workers are burning Kane's vast collection of possessions, deemed worthless junk. The camera slowly zooms in on a child's sled being tossed into the furnace. As it burns, we see its name, Rosebud, a treasured toy from Kane's childhood before wealth and power entered his life. This revelation delivers one of cinema's most profound philosophical insights. At the end of a life spent accumulating wealth, power, and possessions, what Kane longed for was the innocence and simple joy of childhood. Orson Welles delivers a devastating commentary on materialism and the empty pursuit of power. The scene embodies philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer's insight that human desires, once fulfilled, inevitably lead not to satisfaction, but to boredom or new desires. As the sled burns, we're forced to ask, what truly matters in life? Can wealth and power ever substitute for genuine human connection? And might the things we discard or forget contain more meaning than all we struggle to obtain? These 7 scenes remind us why classic cinema remains so powerful. Each one, in just a few minutes of screen time, explores philosophical questions that have challenged humanity for centuries. They show us that long before CGI and special effects, filmmakers created profound art by focusing on the fundamental questions: what is real? What is good? What gives life meaning? In future videos, we will also explore the strong philosophical scenes of foreign early and modern classics, including European and Asian cinema. And if you enjoyed this exploration of philosophy through film, hit that subscribe button for more videos that connect the greatest ideas of the past with the challenges we face today. Thanks for watching.